Hi, good evening, everyone who's joined us across different channels. We'll just start with the session. We're just letting everyone join in, and then we'll start with the session today. All right, let's get started. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in the session, the webinar today. I will very quickly set the agenda of what we're going to go through today and pass it on to Ronnie, who will take it from there. So good evening, everyone, again. Thank you so much for joining across all the channels. Joining us today in our conversation is Ronnie. I think he doesn't need introduction, but let me still give you a very brief one. He's the co-founder and chairman at upGrad, and he has, specific to this session, he has built and scaled one of India's largest media and entertainment conglomerate, which was UTV. So everyone who's interested in the field of media, PR, communication, journalism, I think you get to hear today from the horse's mouth. So I'd request everyone to, be attentive during the session. We are going to go through a lot of stuff. We're going to go through the entire concept of being able to take the degrees, different degrees online, about our collaboration with Mumbai University, about the 2 programs that we are launching with them, and in general, any specific questions pertaining to the field of PR, communication, and journalism. With that, I'll hand it over to Ronnie. Any specific questions that you have during the session, feel free to put it in the Q&A. We'll take them towards the end of the session.
Yeah, well, good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining in. You know, when we started upGrad 4 or 5 years back, one of our first clear goals and dreams was that at some stage we would be able to enable universities in India to really take the bachelor's degree and degrees online to most of an extent. And over the 4 years, 5 years, a lot has happened. What we have at upGrad have been able to do is build a very strong tech platform, which allows us and the entire learning of online learning to be as good as offline learning. Today, I think the course that Mumbai University wants to launch, we're very happy to be there to facilitate and power the Mumbai University course. For me, it's fantastic that we're launching a course, with someone as prestigious as Mumbai University, and we're helping power their course in every sense of the word, from our content and from our technology platform. But I think the other part is also that the specific courses in communication, in PR and public relations, and in journalism is a really strong start. I've always found over the last 5 years that career options, people go for the herd mentality, which means millions of people are going after it. And normally in herd mentality, the best view you have is the person in front of you, his backside or her backside. Therefore, when you look at specialized courses or courses in undergrad that allows you to do things like communication or PR or journalism or sports or fashion, these are all ones where everyone feels, are there real career options at the end of it? I'm a product of soft skills, and I can only say one thing. Career options come to people who build a strong level of communication, a strong level of confidence, and therefore what you do with these courses stand you a humongous strength as you go forward. I think in my days, when I looked at being in the advertising segment and the entertainment segment and the communication segment, those have stood me in good stead for overall the level of confidence that I would build. So specifically, I think these are very strong courses, primarily because it helps you, grooms you as an individual, outside of the fact that there are career options. There are career options at multiple stages that are coming in there, and that's for you to really figure out what you want to do after that. Overall, I have to say today, because a lot of people of you all would have a think that RAR is online legitimate. Simple answer is it is. If it wasn't, would Mumbai University be launching it? No. What it gives is many of you all, I don't know which parts of the country you are in, but the other great and fantastic part for a Mumbai University and some others to really come forward on this is that you're getting one of the best brands in the country without relocating and moving out of your city. For many of you all, forget about the COVID period, which in itself has its own challenges. But even if, because in your 3-year course, COVID will come and maybe a year later, it'll be a lot more better. But overall, for you to get a choice of a prestigious university like Mumbai University to do these very specific courses from, without the cost of moving, boarding, and lodging. And yes, it's a proper effort that you will have to make to complete those courses. But at the same time, there are other things that you can do. So from an affordability and a cost point of view, from an accessibility point of view, it's phenomenal. The reason I think we've come and are powering this course for Mumbai University is the technology platform and the peer-to-peer learning. And for any of you all who have heard of upGrad, I think in our working professionals, you'll see people telling us that while the going has been tough, the level of learning that they get in online is in some parts much better than even offline. Because of our tech platform, the peer-to-peer learning, the entire ability to get to know friends and study groups happens as much online as it does offline. You may be in a small class of 30 in offline, but here you could be in a class of 200 or 300. And the peer-to-peer learning is really phenomenal. So I think from our point of view, what I want to say today is incredible opportunity, regardless of which location you're at, to be able to get a very prestigious university like Mumbai University without the cost of relocating and with the opportunity to have that. Second, the courses that we're talking about here, whether it's communication, public relations, or journalism. And third, overall, online is now here to stay. Please understand, online is not like many people have made it out to be, that there's a camera in front of you with a lecturer and that's the end of it. It's much more than that. So I think it's a phenomenal opportunity. We are very proud. This is something we've hoped for and worked for the last 4 to 5 years to make happen at upGrad. And we're just very privileged that Mumbai University has allowed us to work with this, power the entire thing, and go forward. So that's what I want to say as opening comments. If there are any questions, otherwise, Anandita can sort of walk you through the first course. What are the start dates? What are the formalities? What we need to do? Plus any other questions that anyone wants to post. Thank you.
So I think, Ronnie, one specific question which we see a lot of learners asking is whether the kind of opportunities that one can aim to get to in terms of their career after doing these courses, do you think, is there a restriction to it, or do you think that whatever the field is, there could still be potential for someone who's basically gone through this degree to grab an opportunity in?
Long time back when there was MICA and digital marketing courses, and people thought, oh, that's a niche. And now multiple people are doing digital courses, and the propensity and the opportunities are massive when it comes to that. So I think in the next 2 to 3 years, these vocations I mentioned are going to grow substantially. The other part I would tell people who think, oh, is this too niche and will I be bracketing myself? Let me put this with you. If you just want to take engineering or you want to do science, whatever else, it's a very crowded field on the other side. So the grass is never green on the other side. So, and third is, today more than ever in the 21st century, we need to be passionate about what we want to do. We need to really enjoy what we want to do. We want to love what we want to do. We want to be proud of what we want to do. So if you've chosen that my preferred passion is to do something in communication or in PR or in journalism, but for a safety mechanism I should do somewhere else, you're not going to be happy in that job. So there's a lot of reason why you can hold on to this, because it's niche and restricted. I think the opportunities will open up. Tech means tech in everything. And at the same stage, walking as an option into a crowded space does not guarantee you a better career option.
Right. Another question that I think there are a lot of people asking right now as well, and though you did touch upon the same a little bit, is around the legitimacy of universities going ahead and offering these degrees online. And I think everyone would love to hear from you as well on why universities are now enabled or have the permission to launch and deliver the programs online. If there are any specific government regulations that have changed that in the last couple of years, and how does one build their general awareness about this, because this is very new to most of us.
Yeah, look, I mean, the very fact that a massive and age-old entity like Mumbai University is doing it, who am I to speak about legitimacy when Mumbai University is giving the legitimacy is my best answer I can give you. In January this year, the finance minister and the budget actually said that the top 100 universities in India should go online. And this was before COVID happened. After March and when COVID has really happened, I think the push from people and the acceptability both for the government and whatever else is huge. And then just a few months back, the entire education bill and the entire education bill and enactment came about. For the first time after 70 years, education, which came under the HR ministry, is now called the Education Ministry. So there's a huge push and a surge towards online. So I can sit here and say it's legitimate, but all I can first tell you is I'm nobody to tell you that because Mumbai University is telling you that. And the second part here is they're going to give the final degrees. We're a facilitator, we're an empower. So from that point of view, they're much better off to be able to do this than anybody else.
Right. And even so, again, I think another thing that everyone would want to know, we've been with upGrad, we've been trying to do a lot of things and delivering the entire gamut of university experience online. And you touched upon peer-to-peer learning, but what do you think are some of the most critical components of the platform that you've seen learners benefit the most from, that you would that the learners here, people who have joined us on the call, would love to know about?
I think very clearly the tech platform takes out what I call anonymity out of the learning, because you normally feel, yeah, if I log on to something, I'm alone. You're not alone because you understand the full peer pressure. So the technology platform takes out loneliness from what people think is, yeah, it's an online platform, I'm not meeting people. And frankly, now in the last 6 to 7 months, we've all experienced that without meeting people, in some ways we're dying, but in some ways we're living. So I think technology and the platform that we've created allows you to have that warmth, allows you to take out loneliness from the entire element of teaching and gives you a lot of peer-to-peer. Second, I've learned in my life that the best answers are not normally from your teachers who are more than competent to give it to you, but from peers, because they put a context to how you learn. Because when you ask a question and somebody in the peer level gives it to you, there's a bigger context. When somebody gives it to you at a much more senior level, I'm not saying it's only Gyan, it's an expert comment, but it's an expert comment. So you get the best of both from a technology platform. The third I would say is really in many ways, the way we create the content for what we're going to do, to be able to get the best of the faculty and to get them online to make each course a very engaging one is something that I think we'll have to work towards. I'm not sitting here and telling you for guarantee that each course and each lecture is going to be phenomenal, but I think the ability for that pre-record and the live element allows you to engage with the professor in a much more different way. I think the element of even getting gradings and feedback over a certain period of time, I think is going to allow you to feel a little bit more about how you're doing versus anything else. So for all of this, does it replace walking into a physical university, sitting on a desk? I think it does. I think it does.
Right. And guys, I think there are a lot of questions with regards to specifics of the program, the curriculum, pricing, and so on and so forth, all of which I'll get to. But just one last question for Ronnie, because I think some of you had asked this as well, is given that this is a new concept for a lot of us, just getting the degrees online, devoting the next 2 years, 3 years of our life trying to get something, but all in a virtual environment, there kicks in some sort of a procrastination / overthinking / inertia cycle where we keep delaying the decision, or we keep thinking, okay, let three other people do it, let's see how it helps them. uh, Drawing from your personal experience or from the experiences of people you've worked with in the past, how do you recommend people to just overcome this specific feeling?
I think my whole life I've lived with a motto with what choice do you have? And the fact of the matter is today, you don't. There are many countries in the world where, in fact, you won't be employable unless you have a degree context here. And here, I think we've used degrees in very many different ways. But I think it gives you a grounding. So today, to say I can do it in 1 or 2 years, the problem for most of us, I think we know when we postpone it by 1 or 2 years means it could be for 5 years and 10 years. The beauty about online is you thought about the university. Now you can be imagine the peer group is going to be very different. Imagine that this was your dream university, and now you can actually go out there and get something from a prestigious point of view. And I think for all of us, whether we like it or not, in the job, at least on a bachelor degree basis, is as basic as we get. Okay. And I think that is something that I don't think we should be selling to each of you how important and urgent and immediate this is. And if you not take that decision now, then when is really going to be the big question. If not, then when? And it's got nothing to do with COVID. It's got nothing to do with the fact. Today, more than ever, the world has realized that if you're not in the top 50% of any job opportunity, if you're not in the top 50% of the queue, if you're not in the top 50% of an organization and its workforce, if you're not in the top 50% of an application and its capability, your chances of being marginalized and being irrelevant will grow with every passing day. And this is just the basic foundation.
And do you see the same, given that you worked in the media entertainment industry, do you see that there is a general scope of people upskilling themselves? And do you think that can translate into more efficient atmosphere?
What I've found in these categories, like like PR, like journalism, like communication, or even like fashion, things like that, is the caliber is high. And so it's a lot more qualitative than quantitative. And I think that is what everyone should strive for, because there are opportunities. But you need to be smarter than the next guy in some ball, smarter than the next girl for sure, because there are opportunities for the competent and the capable today. Because it's no longer a vertical. Public relations stems through corporates. Journalism, which was otherwise a vertical and the only output you had was media today, is actually very different, because from journalism can stem into public relations. It is your best form of storytelling and your sense of discipline and research and your ability to be able to communicate. So if you look at these three, it's no longer those verticals that you needed to be in a communication company or you needed to be in a PR firm. Those horizontals that have occurred for this function of higher effective communication is high. And in journalism, the digital medium has blown apart the opportunities for high quality and good quality people. In fact, the more insecure are the people, I think, who've been at it for 20, 30 years and feel that the style of writing now has to be very different from the style of writing in the past. And I think part of our courses will have to take that into account, that we can't teach what somebody was teaching 10 years back.
Yeah. So a very strong component of what's very, very relevant in the industry, a very strong touch with exactly what's happening in the industry is something that is what we need when it comes to the actual work environment. And if that gets built in and solved for, you saying that there could be substantial difference that people could feel at work. I think we'll just take a couple of questions from the students here, and then I will move on to just talking about the program. So we have a question from Sandeep who asks if students will get real world experience and a chance to showcase their talent before the top employers in the industry, which, I mean, it's directly deriving from what we were talking about. whether we can, whether if you're a part of this, I know that it's online and it's virtual, but do I as a learner get a chance to showcase that, I'm good at something and I still showcase that without being in the campus?
Yeah, and maybe Anandita, you can answer that actually.
Yeah, so specifically and in this program, we are building very, very personalized tracks. So we'll ask you initially, what is it that you aspire to do in terms of your professional aspirations? Are you already in the field and you want to upskill yourselves, or are you someone who's trying to get into the field, or are you someone who's wanting to crack a government job? Are you someone who's wanting to start their own media agency or your own small startup? And based on that, we will tailor your entire journey. So one part of it is going to be for someone who wants to get a job or starts their career or upskill and transition into the field. Obviously, a very critical part of it will be for you to showcase your talent to employers who want to recruit top talent in the industry, and you will get access to the same. So one specific problem that online is going to solve now is remove the offline barriers when it comes to accessibility. So if you are amazing if you think that you are amazing at what you do, you're very, very passionate about any of these fields, you could be sitting out of any city in India right now. You could be in a tier 2, tier 3 town, and you could still get that same access as someone who would be in a Mumbai University campus. So that's the entire point of even enabling these universities to go online and take their courses online with the entire gamut of experience, not just the curriculum, not just the content, but this entire experience of learning from your peers, like Ronnie spoke about, or the entire career services. That's one of the most critical parts of attending a university, and a lot more, because it's online. It actually gives you more than what an offline environment potentially can.
And I just want to add to that, especially for people of you all, if you're aspiring to be a communications or a public relations, and you're a very outward going person, you don't always need to have the test and a validation by pitching, because frankly, within yourselves today, you can do that in many aspects. So as Anandita mentioned, those kind of workshops and whatever else would be there, because at the end of the day, you're applying for a job, but a lot of you all could be freelancers. A lot of you all will have to build skills where you can be solopreneurs. And I think that opportunity to be solopreneurs in these fields is quite high.
Yeah. There's another specific question to you, Ronnie, which is, what do you see in the journalism and media world? What encourages you to motivate the learner to avail this course? This is making our job easier.
If you take journalism today, and there are diverse views as far as journalism is concerned, but about 10 years, 15 years back was really the print medium. Okay. Today, if you look at it, between the bite size, the nuggets, the longer articles, the feature articles, that's one. Two, India is going to be the third largest economy in the world. And therefore, we're going to be more and more interesting for the world to understand who we are. And the question is our qualitativeness of our writing and our research. When I read an article in the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal versus when I read it from an Indian publication, you can see the training and the efficiency, where the person has taken the trouble and understood facts, and it's a lot more hearsay. So their entire, I think, is going to go up notches, because India is going to be at the center of a lot of news. A lot of people will want to see things from here. The digital world allows no cross borders. So I think the caliber and the challenge of caliber is going to be huge across the board, for digital journalism, for print journalism, for vocal journalism, for audio journalism, because journalism is no longer about typing it out. Journalism is, you could be the best podcaster. And that's how you need to view how you're looking at things like journalism and public relations. And therefore, communication is a very important part of that. Because in 3 years' time, maybe the most important part of dissemination of news is not just being a host of a TV channel, but you could be able to communicate and build your own credibility. At the end of the day, credibility in the field that you're walking into is going to be an important part of what you're going to learn in the 3 years. And it's going to be the important part of what you're going to learn for the next 30 years, if this is the field you're going to follow.
Right. I think that's very helpful, Ronnie. I think for everyone, specifically for everyone who's at the crossroads deciding whether I'm good at it, but do I get enough opportunities as compared to a more famous, like a more popular field? That's really helpful. And specifically the point that journalism and different forms of media have been a part of the industry for a long time, but there are various new things that are completely unexplored, different types of media, different digital forms of media. And it's evolving as well at a much faster rate. So even if I go back 3 years, there was no Instagram TV. Now there is an Instagram TV. There are social media influencers. There are different types of ways in which we can communicate with the audience, and in different languages as well. So Ronnie, like we already know, we are launching the program for the first time in two vernacular languages. We are launching in Hindi as well as Marathi. I think people would love to understand the basic thought process there. So we've always stuck with English specific programs. With these two programs, the first time
we now have a Prime Minister of India who believes that the best and most effective communication is to talk in his mother tongue. Have you ever seen him hardly speak in English? Is he less of a communicator when he speaks to the head of the United States or speaks at the United Nations? Have we found him to be that? No. I think we've all felt even more prouder that at the United Nations, he would speak in the Hindi language. So I think today language and this English being a good and strong commercial language is there. But people want to consume, we've got 45 news channels today. The most popular ones are the Hindi and the regional ones. The lowest in ratings, they might be the highest in noise, but the lowest in ratings are the English channels. Hardly anybody watches them. 25 people who participate in them and their families watch it. So language, I'm not saying therefore English is low, but just take the communications from our Prime Minister. If he wants to do Man Ki Baat, he doesn't speak in English, he speaks in Hindi. If the Chief Minister in Maharashtra, he'd speak in Marathi. The Chief Minister in Tamil Nadu speaks in Tamil. But therefore, people will want to look at that. For many of you all who watch, platforms like an Amazon or a Netflix, what are some of the most shows that are popular today? Not always in English language. Some of the most popular shows are in the local languages of those countries, but you're getting that genuine sound. So I think language has lost that thing where it has to be English anymore and gone into a lot more about what are you comfortable with?
Right. Any parting thoughts, Ronnie, from your side, and then I will kind of switch the discussion to.
No, I think, look, again, cannot re-emphasize. Don't follow the herd. These are interesting ones. We're not here to sell it to you, but it's not like you'll be less challenged if you go with a mass versus this. Everything is good. Getting on and doing a degree in itself is a good one. For God's sakes, don't think about that part too much. Whether you take this or you take any other, I think people are looking for the top 50 percentile. Please watch out for that and plan for that in life. And don't wait for a crisis to be able to figure out, now is the time for me to take a course. Anyway, thank you. Thanks, Anandita. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ronnie, for joining. Thank you, everyone else.
Thank you.
We will continue the session. Ronnie, if you want, you can drop out.
Sure.
We will continue the session. Everyone, I will just give more details specific to the program. I'll start with the entire regulation side of things, which is one of the most asked questions, even in the Q&A right now, is how is the program, how is the degree genuine? Let me first start by telling you that this is a program which is a Mumbai University program. upGrad is an enabler in terms of providing the technology platform for them to go ahead and launch these programs in an online format. So that's the whole construct of the program. Now, the second question is who gave or how does Mumbai University get the right to launch these programs in an online format? So Ronnie did mention in his brief conversation specifically pertaining to this, but there is something called the University Grants Commission, the UGC, who came out and who said that now universities who meet a certain criteria, meet certain benchmarks, can go ahead and start launching programs that they have been running, and at least one batch has graduated in the offline or the regular format. They can go and launch these in the online format as well. So they came up with a huge set of guidelines on who can launch these degrees, how to go about it, what are the different parameters to be followed, and so on and so forth. So thus enabling the likes of Mumbai University to not get restricted by geography when it comes to offering these any of their programs in the online format. And we're glad that as technology partners, we are able to get these programs and launch them. Obviously, all the Mumbai University programs in an online format. As of now, so we were launching 2 programs. You already know about them, but one is MA in PR and one is MA in Communications and Journalism. So these are the 2 programs that we have launched. The process of application fees is everything that I will talk about shortly. So I'm just trying to briefly summarize all the different questions that you've asked. The process of application for both the programs is very, very simple. You need to go on to the website. You need to submit an application form, which will ask for basic profile details, and you need to submit a writing assessment where we will evaluate different parts of how you're writing. This can be in Hindi, it can be in English, or it can be in Marathi. So both the programs, MA in PR and MA in Communications and Journalism, is available in all the 3 languages, which is Hindi, English, and Marathi, thus enabling anyone who speaks vernacular or English to go ahead and take these programs. The format of taking this entire program will be completely online. So there will be an online learning platform which you will be given access to. There will be 3-4 different components of the program. So there will be recorded content, recorded lectures from Mumbai University professors. There will be recorded lectures from industry practitioners. There will be live lectures that will be happening with industry practitioners as well as Mumbai University professors. There will be there is a very strong discussion forum, peer-to-peer network, a sort of a system which is built into the platform. So it will help you track how everyone else in the cohort or in your batch is doing, where are they stuck, what is their progress like, how does that compare to where you stand. If there are any questions and doubts, you can discuss with each other, you can solve each other's questions and queries and so on and so forth. So that's obviously a very, very critical part. Another very important thing that you remember, and I briefly mentioned this before as well, is that we are very, very focused on being able to provide personalized experience. So if you're someone, depending on the professional aspirations you have, we will tailor the journey for you. So if you're someone who wants to excel in the careers in journalism or PR, or you want to enter the field, we will connect you, put you in touch with the right opportunities, ensure that you're aware and are applying for those opportunities, get you access to these internships, to these initial job opportunities, and support you in all those endeavors, not just from an opportunity standpoint, but also from preparation standpoint. So the preparation starts as soon as you join the program, where there will be sessions on general communications, there are sessions on personality development, interview prep, and so on and so forth, so that when the day hits, when you are actually sitting for a company interview, you are fully prepared to crack that. The second one that I spoke about, I think a lot of you have been asking whether this degree will be legitimate and will stand true when it comes to any of the government exams, be it railways, be it NET, be it SET. A lot of you here want to enter into the government services and the government jobs, and thus want to take one of these exams. So this degree will hold valid. Again, it's a Mumbai University degree. This degree is as legitimate and as valuable as the degree it's provided, which is provided in the regular offline campus. It will, however, mention that the degree has been delivered in the online format, but it will be a legitimate degree, which can be considered, which will be considered for any of these government exams that you intend to write. Everyone who wants to take this route, take one of the government job exams, there is a very specific track developed for that as well. So we will give you flexibility in terms of learning, in terms of preparing for these exams. We'll put you in touch with our preferred learning platforms and partners who can help you and mentor you prepare for the exams depending on which exam that you intend to write. We have also built a track specifically for people who want to be solopreneurs, like Ronnie mentioned, and people who want to start their own agencies, people who want to start their own or run their family businesses. So specifically for everyone who holds these entrepreneurial aspirations, we have a specific learning track developed for you as well, where over and above the additional certifications by Government of India, you will have specific projects which will be aligned to being able to start your own company, which will make you much better prepared as compared to a regular stream or a regular degree. So that when you hit the ground running, when you start your own company, or you want to transform certain parts of your business, of your family business, you have all the tools that you need in order to make it happen. So like I said, given that because it's online, it has the capacity and capability of offering you a lot more personalized experience, and we try to extract as much of that as possible from this entire journey. We spoke a lot already with Ronnie, and specifically spoke a lot about journalism and the world of communications and PR. How he thinks it will grow, how it will have impact across multiple different industries, and the fact that this degree can be taken in an online format. The last thing that I want to talk about is how you can is the entire fee structure, which is there are two modes of payment in which you can enroll for this program. One, you can either pay semester wise, so there are 4 semesters. You need to pay a certain sum, 27.5K per semester, in order to enroll for the program, or you can take annual payments. If you take annual payments, it'll cost you 50,000 per year. If the good part is, if you take an online method of payment, you get EMI options available, which means that, and if you actually calculate it, it'll come out to be somewhere around 136 rupees per day. So that's the amount of money you need to spend if you want to complete your master's and MA degree in the from the prestigious Mumbai University, sitting at home and online without disrupting any of your existing plans. So I've tried to condense a lot of information. I know there's a lot that I've spoken about in the last 15 minutes, but in the interest of time, and there were a lot of questions that were being asked, I've tried to ensure that I cover 85 to 90% of all the questions that you wanted to ask, or things that you wanted to know specifically pertaining to the program. Let me just see if there are any other questions that I might have missed, and I will try and answer those questions as well. But I think I've covered most of it. I've covered all of it, actually. So if you see the number of, and I think there are specific questions on, this is my current experience, and do you think this will help me and my career and my future? I'd like to first tell you that we have a very strong team of academic counselors whose job is to know a lot more about you, so we can give you personalized mentoring and career counseling as well there, where we can understand your journey so far in terms of a profession, and see if this program or some other program fits in and how it can benefit you. But so far we have seen people from all different streams and experience level join in the program. So you will see someone who's a fresh out of college, completed their BA in journalism, or any other different field as well, who want to complete their masters back to back. Plus, we have seen people who have more than 10-15 years of experience, who could, because of multiple different financial / work life obligations, could not take that break, could not put a stop to what was going on, and continue with their master's degree. So we have seen people from all different walks of life. The main thing to understand here is how you should have very clear clarity on how this program can help you. If you're getting clear answers to that, I think you need to go ahead with it. If you really need help figuring out how this program can help you, you can go onto the website, you can put in your details, and someone from our team will call you for specific mentoring, understand your journey, understand your experience level so far, and see how this program fits it and how it can benefit you. If you feel that this is something that can give you a real boost to your career, you should definitely go ahead about it. If not, then we'll definitely find something else which can do that. So after completing a couple of things, after completing this program, everyone, so you need to pay an alumni fee, but you become a Mumbai University alumni. So although the facilitator and the technology platform here is upGrad, but the program, its entire content, the curriculum design, how it gets delivered, how students will get graded, what will be the passing marks, will they be alumni, all of that is governed, and the end term assessments, the mid-term assessments, everything is governed by Mumbai University. So it is as legitimate as it could be when it comes to a straight parallel, a straight comparison from the offline degree. So for everyone who's asking that question, yes, it's completely Mumbai University governed program. We are facilitating them to do this. Who the graders will be, how will they mark you, what mark will be the passing mark for every batch, what will your GPA be, the entire mark sheet, term sheet at the end of the day, what you get, by when do you need to produce documents, everything, each and every small thing gets governed by the university, because that's how it's supposed to be. But for them to take this online, they needed a platform partner, which is what upGrad is doing here. Duration of the program, because it's a master's program, it's a 2-year program, but because it's an online program, we tend to see that people might take a little break sometimes. So you have the flexibility of completing it in 4 years. So the duration will be 2 to 4 years. All right, I think if there are any further questions, we can take them. Otherwise, we can break off from here. And thank you so much again, everyone, for joining in the session today. Yeah, do highlight if there are any questions that you want me to answer.
Okay, cool. So a couple of questions on YouTube as well, which have come in, is a few folk are asking about picking up, the MA, doing 2 courses at the same time. So is that possible for them if they want to?
Both the programs in the online format?
Yeah.
So the guidelines regarding them aren't very clear. The way you can do 2 programs in the online format is, one is regular, 2 masters or 2 different programs, and one has to be regular and the other has to be either online or ODL. So it's best if you're doing one program online, you keep it that way, because even the requirements in terms of hours, etc., you might not be able to meet for multiple programs.
Correct. Okay. Thanks. Another question is coming from Dhruv, quite exhaustive question actually. So it says, I think this online course is easier to get into with only a writing assessment required for shortlisting, as opposed to taking the entrance exams while doing it in person in Mumbai University. Adding to the fact that the learning per week in terms of hours is a bit less intensive. So how does a person who has done this course online with upGrad hold a candle to the competitor who has done it in the harder way in the Mumbai University in person? Any thoughts on that?
Right. So, okay, let me answer this question in 2 parts. One is the entire admissions and the thought process behind admissions. The reason why universities restrict a number of people getting into their colleges when it comes to the regular mode is that, one, they have limited infrastructure, limited number of seats that are permissible. When it comes to online, the one thing that most universities tend to do, and so is the case with Mumbai universities as well, is rather than making it an acceptance or selection based test, we make it a rejection sort of a mechanism, where we ensure that any student who will not be able to cope up or benefit for the program gets taken in or gets selected for the program. So the entire thought process of going online is to ensure that people who the university was not able to cater to given the offline setup, also get access to a very similar learning environment, to a very similar or actually the same pedagogy, curriculum, and so on and so forth. So obviously, when it comes to online versus offline, you will see that few students, there'll be far fewer students when it comes to the offline campus versus the online campus. Now, while that does mean that, yes, there is a lot more acceptance in the online format. What I don't agree with is that it anyway restricts your potential or your accessibility of getting these opportunities, which is what we are trying to solve with the online mode as well. So although there will be competition, there will be a lot more people in the batch, but you will get accessibility to opportunities, you will get what you want to in terms of your professional aspirations, be it internship at the end of the program, be it a job opportunity, and so on and so forth. You will get that access, and that access is something which gets provided even in the university campus as well. So that becomes a level playing field when it comes to online versus offline. In terms of the third question, which is the learning hours that's required in online versus offline, UGC has put in very, very strict recommendations on how much time needs to get dedicated or devoted when it comes to any of the online programs. And this program has been built specifically and strictly in adherence to all of those policies. So you will see that in a week, there will be about 30 hours of learning that you will have to go through, which will be a mixture of learning online recorded sessions, there'll be live sessions, there'll be TA sessions, there'll be assessments. So all in all, it will make for an exhaustive experience when it comes to just consuming the content and eventually applying into your job or whatever it is that you want to do. The last basic point, so although tactically I've clarified, but at the end of the day, it's your life and it's your choices. If you feel as an individual that, no, I need to put a stop to what I'm doing right now, I need to ensure that I crack that offline entrance that Mumbai University schedules every year, and I need to get in because that's how I want to do this. Obviously, there's no stopping you, but there is a lot that goes in terms of opportunity cost when one makes that decision, which is the reason you will see that more than 80% of the people who complete their bachelor's never end up completing or taking up their masters. This is just a mode of enabling those candidates. So whatever decision you take, it has to be a very informed one. There will be a pros and cons when you compare the two, but do you think that you can get that experience which you get offline in online format? The answer to that is yes. So I hope I clarified all the 3-4 points that mentioned here. Next question.
Yes, a couple more questions that have come in. I think a lot of people are asking, I see on YouTube as well, about the peer-to-peer learning. I think many are used to the whole aspect of Mumbai University offline and being in a class with their peers. And obviously replicating that online, I think a few apprehensions on that. And so sort of asking the question, how are we, making up for that? What does upGrad do to help, supplement or make me interact with my peers more? Also, I think a few people join in a bit late on YouTube, again, asking the question about live and pre-recorded. So maybe you want to cover that just very briefly.
So the sessions will be both live as well as pre-recorded. There will be some sessions that the Mumbai University professor and the industry experts will be recording, and they will be recording earlier, and you will have to go through them. There will be a lot of live sessions that will get scheduled on a monthly, on a weekly basis as well. Over and above that, there will be, and I'll come to this, there will be TA sessions, there will be doubt solving sessions that will be live, which will keep happening throughout the week. Specific to your question on peer-to-peer learning, now there are 3-4 components of peer-to-peer learning. One is the entire classroom aspect, where you're attending a class, you're going through a lecture, and you're going through the same with your classmates. So the learning platform at upGrad has been built in a way that you will know that if there are 150 people in my class, how do each of them stand when it comes to completion of lectures, when it comes to completion of assessments, and so on and so forth. forth. So you always have that sense of competition, which you can feel with people who are doing the program with you. That's just one part of it though. You have the accessibility to chat with, interact with, and speak, and virtually do projects with a lot of your batchmates. So that's the second way of being in touch with everybody in your batch. There'll be a lot of projects that you will be doing with your batch. There'll be a lot of live sessions where only some parts of your entire batch will be made to form a smaller group, and you will be taken through a particular session and those are the different components. Even if you go for an offline or university campuses where there are campuses, there are different projects where you have your own groups that you complete these projects with, and so on and so forth. So we have tried and replicated that entire environment of going through a particular program in a way that you don't feel that I'm the only one doing it and I have to watch these 6 videos and be done with it. Though that's just one part where also you will know that you are in the last 50% of the batch and the others have already completed. So you'll feel that sense. Plus, you will have these opportunities to interact with a lot of your peer group members, thus making up for the fact that yes, it's online, but it's not going to be lonely.
Great. Second part, I think you just touched upon it, Anandita, on the TA sessions. Another question that's come in, somebody's asking, how can I get in touch with lecturers if I have doubt resolving things around that? Online, it will be a bit delayed. So is there any way that upGrad works around that or helps folk reach out to the industry experts and teachers?
Yeah, so we understand that the most frustrating part of learning online is you're stuck somewhere and you don't know what the person is trying to say and you don't know how to resolve your doubts. Specifically, what has traditionally been happening, specifically with distance learning and open learning programs, is that you have to wait for those weekly classes or bi-weekly classes to happen offline where you can get your doubts clarified. Luckily, with online, that part is and can get get taken care of basically. So what we are doing is, in a week you will have 4 times 4 opportunities where you can speak with a TA who's worked with the professor, who's been appointed by the professor. And what you can do is you can set up these calls. You can join these 4 times a week calls with the teaching assistant, and you can join these sessions live. So it's not that it's any recorded session where they'll go through commonly asked questions or commonly asked most common doubts that people have. So you can imagine one person or TA sitting there just to resolve your queries and your doubts. That's how the sessions will get scheduled. And these won't be 30-minute sessions or so where people will be rushed. So you will have appropriate amount of time for you to clarify all your doubts, even if you want to do it every alternate day, actually more than that. So we have taken care of this part, and you will obviously be there in the presence of your other batchmates, thus inculcating the peer-to-peer learning part of the overall environment as well. There is a couple of questions. There are a couple of questions on 2-degree programs. So like I said, as of now, the regulations permit that if you're doing an online program, if you're doing a regular program or you're not doing any other program, you can definitely take an online program. So you can do one offline program, plus you can do an online program or an ODL program. The regulation specifically on if I'm doing one program in the distance mode, can I do on an offline mode? There is no prohibition to the same. Similarly, there isn't a prohibition for 2 online programs as well. What there is a prohibition for is for anyone to do 2 regular programs, so 2 programs in the offline mode. So that's what you need to take in consideration. If you're meeting that, then there isn't a restriction. UGC has allowed for someone to take 2 programs, 2 different degree programs.
Got it. And the certification, Anandita, to confirm, I think a few people asking about, it will be from Mumbai University and upGrad, right? And they will get a hard copy.
Yeah. So okay, so like I said, again, this is a Mumbai University program. The certificate is going to be a Mumbai University certificate. The certificate will look exactly similar to what a typical Mumbai University master's certificate looks like. It will, however, mention that the degree has been given in an online mode. So that's the only difference. It's a complete legitimate Mumbai University program with a degree from Mumbai University at the end of it.
Got it. Another quick question, Anandita, is just on the careers. I know you touched upon this earlier, if you just joining, and I'm just asking from the careers and outcomes perspective, how is upGrad sort of supporting and helping those who are looking to maybe, look for new work, or even in terms of just receiving particular outcomes in that field?
Right. So specifically for people who aspire to get a job in the field or get a promotion in the field, there are lots of things that we will build into your second year of the program. So in the second year, when you enter the second year, we'll ask you, okay, so now you've gone through the first year, you've understood things a little better. What is it that you want to achieve in terms of your professional aspiration? And if you come back and say, you can come back and say, look, I want to get a job in the private sector, or I want to upskill and I want to get a promotion in the current setup or in my current company, or want to change my team from X to Y. Or you could come back and say that I want to do and crack a government job and crack a government examination. Or you could come back and say, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to start my own company. Now, depending on what you want, the next set of experience get tailored for you. So if you're someone who's opted for the first one, which is what the question is, there are multiple things that we'll start doing in terms of your overall learning experience. So there'll be one-on-one personality development sessions, there will be soft skill sessions, there will be people from the industry who will come and interact with you on a regular basis to tell you what the overall industry looks like, what and how do you need to prepare yourself to get in. There will be specific career related sessions when it comes to cracking an interview, typical aptitude and interview skills that, or things that you need to know in order to crack the interview. So we will, one, prepare you for that eventual challenge of getting an opportunity, finding a job. And the second thing that we'll do is we'll ensure that there are enough and more number of opportunities lined up for you. So when you get there, when you're finishing your third sem or fourth sem, we'll ensure that all the top media communication houses, marketing agencies, and so on and so forth, who require talented people and have opportunities to hire, open up their entire process for people who are graduating from this program. This is very, very similar to the career portal that we have built for all of the other programs that we have been offering for the last 4-5 years as well. So we'll ensure that happens and ensure that everyone who's taken this program, no matter what the geography is, gets access to these opportunities. So you get to that interview, you get that initial screening round, and if you crack the exam, you crack the interview, you have the opportunity to get your career started in the field or in the company of your choice.
Thanks so much. Quick questions. I think a few more questions and others are coming in. Is it okay if I ask them? Or?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So Gujrant is asking, one is the bachelor's degree. Do I need to provide those documents before being admitted into the program and before starting? Is that what upGrad requires as part of it?
Yes. So initially, in order to pay the initial block fee, you might not need to, but for you to eventually enroll in the program and get started, you need to furnish your bachelor degree documents. These documents will be verified by Mumbai University, and until they are verified, you need to know that you need to get and provide authentic and correct documents in order to get admissions into the program. You need to provide that before the start of the program.
And for those who might look for the self-employment track, does upGrad help to sort of get some freelancing opportunities?
This is something that we can definitely. So what we help with is for you to for you to become enabled enough to find the opportunities. So for example, if you're someone who's wanting to start freelancing or build their own agencies, we'll tell you what are the right places to be in, where to create the profile, how to create your own portfolio, who to reach out to, what are the things that you're doing right, we'll review them, what are the things that you're not doing right, and so on and so forth, so that you eventually end up bagging these opportunities, which is, so we would more act like an enabler and ensure that the knowledge, skill sets that you need to get there and be successful get imparted. We'll connect you with people who've done well as freelancers, freelance journalists, or freelance people in the industry, so that you don't miss out on anything or any of the skills and tools you need to succeed in the field.
Got it. Probably the second last question, Radhika, is can someone be eligible for a PhD post doing this masters with upGrad?
Yes. So like I said, it's a legitimate degree. So whatever a legitimate degree allows you to, this particular degree also does allow you to become eligible for.
Great. And my final question, Anandita, which is there in the chat as well, because I think we're just coming up on time. People are looking at both the masters, sort of wondering which one should they go for. What are the major or key differences? Can you just broadly sort of differentiate between both very briefly for those who joined in late, and then we can close.
Right. So as the name would also suggest, when it comes to, so PR is a field which name suggests is public relations, right? And then there is communication and journalism. So communication and journalism enables you and sharpens two parts of your skills. So one is in the broad sense, developing your soft skills, writing, reading, oration, all of that, as well as the eventual journalism, which could again be in different fields and format. When it comes to PR, it is basically handling the relationship of a particular entity with the public. So although they seem very coherent, but they are very, very different things. Now, for example, if I am someone who's majored in PR and wants to progress my career in that field, I could, for example, be in the public relations team of a company where I'm supposed to handle how the brand gets conveyed eventually in the market, in the papers, in the digital media, and so on and so forth. So I'm able to handle the reputation. I'm able to get whatever right we are doing in the organization out for people to know about it. And very similar, you can find these roles not just in a particular company. You will find these roles in all sorts of companies. While when you're in journalism, you're actually on the other side of the picture, where you're actually someone who's curating these stories, be it whatever be the format. But given that there is an angle of communication as well, and you also master and major in communications, you become enabled to also handle brand and communications, marketing communications, and so on and so forth for a company. So although these are very, very similar also in some extent when it comes to its eventual opportunities that you can get, they will stem from what is it that you enjoy or like doing and the kind of opportunities that you end up wanting to choose. I'd urge you to definitely go through the curriculum for both the programs. So when you go through the curriculum of both the programs, you will be able to very clearly differentiate, oh, okay, so this is what I'm going to learn in this program, and this is what I'm going to learn in the other program. But eventually the opportunities, like I said, these are two sides of the coin, where essential difference is one, where you're managing communications, two, when you are eventually communicating, or how you're communicating, that strategy gets devised. And obviously we are all familiar with journalism. I hope that answers. It was like a long answer, so I hope that.
No, that was good. Yeah. Thanks so much, Anandita. I think we can end. I've put a few links for the MA in Communications and Journalism in the chat and in PR. So you can check out the program pages, download the brochure, and take your application forward. Anandita, maybe you can just reiterate the process, because I see a few questions on that, and then we'll close.
The entire application process?
Yeah, just a few people asking, is there a test? How do I start my application? What do I do? And
So for you to be able to apply for the program, you need to go onto the website. I think the links are already provided in the chat. You need to submit your application. After your application, you will know whether you're eligible for the program or not. You need to finish writing assessments. So there are writing assessments, there's an SOP, there is another assignment that you need to write. You can do this in the language preference of your choice. You can do this in Hindi, English, or Marathi. Once that happens, there will be our graders who will evaluate your writing assessments, and basis your writing assessment basis how you perform in the same, you can or you will get shortlisted for the program. Once you do, you go ahead with the program, so you can block your seat and you can enroll yourself for the program. So it's a simple process. You need to follow the 3-4 steps just that I just mentioned. Go onto the website.
Thanks so much, Anamita. I think you can close.
Thank you so much everyone for joining the session today and making it a really engaging one.
Thanks everyone for joining in. We will send the recorded link for you. If you would like to see the session again, please do check out the links we put in the chat, and you can go forward and start your application on our website. Do stay safe, do stay indoors, and have a good evening. Good night, everyone. On a final note, you can email us on online degrees at upgrad.com. I've just sent that link as well on the chat. So please do, if you have any further questions we weren't able to answer, you can just email us. I'll put it in the chat again for your reference.